Hey guys, this is Jeremy here, and this is kind of a spoiler review of Chappie, but also a talk about what the movie could have been. Now, if any of you guys have seen it, a lot of complaints have been about what the main focus of the film is Chappie hanging out with these criminals. And as I said in my review, I hated this aspect because the criminal characters were such bad characters, and they were so terribly acted. Having popular rap artists is an interesting idea if they're like lower characters, but 90% of the time this never really works out. I'm still amazed at how good Eminem was in 8 Mile. But anyway, the whole point is that if you're going to have characters that are going to be this moral dilemma, this kind of corrupting factor of a childlike character, at least have them be better actors. Now, another thing that a lot of people have complained about was just basically the whole story, what the story took place. And a lot of people were like, oh, well, you know, Chappie's going to be raised by Dev Patel, and then he's going to go up against Hugh Jackman, and that will be like that will be the main conflict of the film. These criminal characters wouldn't really exist. I'm happy that didn't happen. It's because if it had been the other thing, it would have been straight up Short Circuit. We were already looking at this film as though it was a Short Circuit reboot. And there's so many factors of this film that are very similar to other films, with the RoboCop references, the Appleseed references, everything. A lot of this film wasn't really in a realm of its own. It was heavily borrowed from other things. So the idea that it didn't follow Short Circuit is fine with me. I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't wanting that. I was wanting something different, and that's what I got. The only problem was it wasn't really well executed. And another thing is that this takes up too much of the film, I find. Because, as I said also in my review, the final 30 minutes is what really got me. Now, after Chappie takes down Hugh Jackman's big robot thing, which is... okay, this is another thing too. Why on earth is Hugh Jackman pushing this giant fucking robot for police work? This is a military thing. This is like a no-brainer. This is what you would put into the military, into the field. Not something in the streets. It was moving so slow, this thing would get fucked in the streets. That I didn't like. I thought that was kind of dumb. If he had possibly a bigger version of Chappie, not a scout, but maybe like a heavy, being used as a robot, or sorry, by a human mind, that would have been interesting, because that is something that would actually work in a city environment. That thing is just too fucking big. It's too big. Anyway, so after he beats up Hugh Jackman's robot thing, Dev Patel's been shot, and they go to this place, and then they switch consciousnesses. And that is when the movie started to get interesting for me, because it's like, wow, I can't believe that he was able to do this all by high stacking a bunch of PS4s together. But the idea of a human really understanding life by becoming artificial is something that intrigued me. And then that he is like Chappie. Then, if anything, Chappie is becoming more human than him, because Chappie says he doesn't want to die, but at the same time he's willing to sacrifice himself so that Dev Patel can live. And that was the other thing I thought. I was like, oh no, Chappie's gonna die? Like, what's the point? Like, it's just a human and a robot. You're not learning anything. Chappie is the thing that is the pure focus. He is a living, breathing artificial intelligence. So when Chappie lives at the same time, I was happy with that. But then the whole idea of mommy having her conscious on a USB drive, that was cool too. The idea of a conscious mind in an artificial body. Now, I know some films have done this before, but the idea of really learning how to live in a body that should not have a lifestyle, a life source, something that doesn't connect with a human soul, that was what was interesting to me. I would really like this if it was in the middle of the film. Say things move along a lot faster, or maybe he has Chappie pretend to be a scout walking around with him, and Chappie finds out about this artificial intelligence, or this head reader, and he does some stuff on his own, and then Dev Patel and Hugh Jackman get into a scuffle, and he shoots Dev Patel, and then Chappie saves him, and that's half of the movie is Hugh Jackman wanting to kill the two because they have discovered a way of passing on life to make humans immortal, in a sense. This is what people can do to save loved ones who are dying of cancer, or to help with Alzheimer's, or people with MS. This an idea of giving people whose bodies are cutting out before their time a second chance. This is what would have been cool. I really like this concept. The idea. The only problem is, I guess you could say it's kind of going into District 9 again with what happened with Vicus turning into an alien, or into a prune. So that's maybe an issue that they could have filtered out. So like I said, I'm not saying that I was unhappy that Chappie was raised by criminals. I like that aspect. I just didn't like the people who were acting as the criminals. That was a very, very bad choice. That guy is such a terrible actor. I'm not going to stop saying that. He was awful. So, like this whole review has said, Chappie had some interesting elements, but the problem was they weren't really well executed, and they weren't fluid. They were very pitch-patch, not very well played out. Like, for instance, the beginning of the film, there's 2 interviews with people. Who the hell remembered those interviews? What was the point of those interviews? He talked about the idea of Chappie being like a pinnacle of artificial intelligence, but the problem is no one knows about it. Well, yeah, they're 18 months after the events of Chappie. Chappie is, what, 5 days? So what the fuck are they talking about that happened in between those 17 months? That's something I would have liked to know. Again, like, I really wish they hadn't edited that in. So, anyway, that's all for me, guys. Just wondering what you guys thought, if that's something similar to what you were hoping for. Did you like the criminal aspect? You just didn't like the actors? And do you think that Chappie isn't as bad as it is? Like, it's not a bad concept. It's just not best execution. So, anyway, guys, that's all for me. See you later. Buckle down.